Okay, I am going to start the session. We have Alyssa, Warren, AJ, and Gwen right now. We are waiting for a couple more, and then as the technological issues go on the side, they are trying to jump on the call. We will add them to the conversation. So hello, everyone. Welcome to the session 2 for our artist talk for our exhibit, The Collective Impact. Please feel free to unmute and or sign and share. What are your thoughts and how are you feeling today? Where are you joining us from?
I'm joining from New York, and I'm really excited to be participating again this year. So thank you for having me.
Hello, Gwen.
I'm in Michigan, and I don't know too much about your collective. Where are you based out of?
Atlanta, Georgia. That's where Alyssa is from. And she's the founder and curator for this collective project as well.
I'm from London. I'm originally from New York as well, though. This is my first exhibit, so thank you so much for having me.
We are glad to have you.
I'm from the Bay Area in California, and this is my first exhibition in 2020.
Oh, yay. Thank you for joining us. We also have Carina here now, so we'll give her a moment to connect to the audio and we will start the session. In terms of the artist order, it's going to be, it was supposed to be Loraine, but she's having trouble. So I'm going to start with Warren and then hop on to Alyssa, Gwen, and then I don't think Mike has been able to join as well, and then hop on to Carina and AJ for the last. How's the excitement living in Facebook? I'm going to check that out. Yep, I do see Mike and Loraine trying to join in and commenting us there that they are working on it. So we will show their work at the end if they're not able to join in, but we'll try our best to make them happen. Okay, I am gonna start sharing my screen to share Warren's work now. So bear with me here for a moment. And I hope you all can see it. And I'm gonna keep myself mute for 30 seconds and start talking again. Okay, let's start talking about your work, Warren. Thank you so much for coming here and joining us on this live platform to talk about your work. Just to give our audience a little info about the interesting things that I picked up from his bio. Warren spends much time in creating photography, oil painting, and sculptures, so defines himself as more of an interdisciplinary artist, and I loved the work that we saw here. The colors are amazing, but the dead animals, ooh, that was dark. So it was such a nice contrast there. Would you like to share more about your work with us?
Yes. First and foremost, I want to say I am not going out and killing these animals. I get a lot of odd looks and very concerned questions. are you hunting animals? Are you killing them? No, I'm not going out and killing animals. I grew up in the woods of northern Michigan, very rural area. And so hunting culture and fishing and just dead animals in general was something that I am so completely desensitized to. And the work itself is about being a queer person growing up in that type of place where often you're kind of stifled. So, imagine being an ambitious queer person growing up in an area that doesn't have a Starbucks. I mean, it's impossible. So the work is trying to blend queerness with domesticity. And what I'm doing here is calling on a little bit of my upbringing, just sort of being around taxidermy and hunters and dead animals in general. I ended up eating a lot of animals that family members had hunted, which I guess that's weird to a lot of people. And I guess that's sort of weird to me now, thinking about it in retrospect. But I'm trying to create these beautiful compositions that use color and texture and domestic materials to create these still lifes. Some people call them vanitas when they include dead animals. And I've seen a lot of paintings that incorporate bread, fruits, vegetables, and then you might also have just, a dead rabbit laying there on the table in this giant oil painting. And it's less about death and more about that's just what that person had available to them to paint with. And so I'm kind of drawing on those traditions a little bit to say what I'm saying. And so growing up in an area like that as an ambitious queer person, I'm sort of the dead animal in that composition. I felt very stifled. Even to this day, I still harbor a little bit of, resentment for my upbringing. I feel like I was robbed of something, robbed of experience. And I'm just constantly wondering about the rest of the world, which is an experience that's very common with a lot of queer people, feeling like you're missing out on something. And so what I'm trying to do with my body of work here, these two fit into a much larger body of work that contain floral backgrounds, floral patterns, domestic objects with, the dead animals, which, it's impossible to miss. And what I'm doing here is trying to diminish this veil that separates queerness from domesticity. It's a veil that says the home is not a queer space. And what I'm saying is that, yes, it can be, and that queer people are just as boring and mundane as everyone else. And I'm happy to answer any questions anyone in the call might have. So
I do have one.
Yes.
The cereal did make me hungry in there. It's almost lunchtime here. So why the cereal? Was it just something in terms of shapes and colors? Or you did say day-to-day life materials. So was it, do you love cereal that much that you do want to represent it in the work?
The cereal was a way to add color and texture to it, and also to make it a little less dark. Because the point of these compositions is not to make a statement about death. And so the cereal is just something that I had available to me. And then it was also a way to, I keep using the word upbringing, to call on upbringing. I remember sitting in my pajamas as a 5-year-old, eating a bowl of cereal, watching Saturday morning cartoons. And so these, my digital photography especially is more of a reference to my upbringing than any of the work that I do. So the cereal was a way to talk about childhood in a way.
And I think that connected with everyone, like sitting in front of the TV, having a bowl of cereal. So it does relate to what you were saying, that you want to add to the point that queer people can be as mundane as everyone else. So
We're very boring, I promise.
that was a different take in terms of the queer community that you've shared. So thank you so much.
Yes.
I am going to wait for some questions. And if any of our artists have any questions for Warren, please feel free to ask him. And have you guys seen his work before? I'm checking on Facebook here, so just let me check. I do believe there are going to be comments that come in later, so we'll get back to you, Warren. And I'm gonna move on to Alyssa's work here. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. I'm checking on Facebook here, so just. I do believe and I hope you can see Alyssa's work here. Okay. Hello, Alyssa. Welcome to the conversation again. I'm gonna pick up one line from your bio too and share with our audience here that you enjoy creating female-focused art, particularly pieces that represent relationships with oneself, generally in the form of line drawings or pieces that are largely adhered to the conventions of realism. So take up the floor and share more about you.
Yeah, I have always done like some sort of art, drawing, painting, making collages as well. But I haven't really ever done anything with it. And then it wasn't really until like quarantine that like I've actually had time to sit down and like kind of practice it. So I started like using Photoshop more and got like a better tablet. So I really use my wife as my muse. Because like Warren, I kind of want to show that like, because a lot of time lesbians are like a fetish or like shown in like a sensational way. So I've also wanted to show more of like mundane activities, just like sitting in bed, like just being our normal selves. Kind of just like also without a face, because that kind of takes away some of what they could take from it. So I kind of try to like reclaim that space. So yeah, I mean, I draw a bit of everything, but I try to draw it in more just like normal everyday scenarios. But yeah, I do a lot of line drawings. So I start usually with like a photo, and then like I make a line drawing, and then sometimes I just like fill it in and like make it more realistic. But I usually make it in a Polaroid format. I don't know why, that just always is how I do it.
Is there a particular kind of program that you love, like a software that you love using? I'm asking because some of our audiences who get inspired by your work might want to use the same kind of software.
Yeah, I use just regular Photoshop, but I use the I don't know how to say it. The Wacom tablet. Yeah, that's all I use.
And then any inspiration behind the colors? I love the Polaroid because I think that there was a trend in the past few years of Polaroids coming back, and right now people are taking instant, having something materialistic in hand rather than just those digital photos. So
yeah, me and my wife take a lot of photos. We have like a whole wall of our Polaroids. So I kind of drew inspiration from that. Color-wise, there's not too much. I just like to keep it quite light in a way. just because that appeals to me more. But yeah, no, there's no certain colorway that I try to stick to.
Okay. I do think we don't have anything for you guys yet. Any of our fellow artists have a question for Alyssa? Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next one and get back to maybe the question answer session at the end of the call. And we have Gwen next. So I'm going to share my screen here. And that's her work. Oops, my bad. Okay, coming back to us. Hello, Gwen. Thank you for sharing your work with us through this exhibit and the virtual exhibit format. In your work, I loved how they were self-portraits and they had the digital element to them. So it was a photo, but it had a physical molded, or there was something that felt physical about it and not digital. So if you want to share more about that.
So both of these images are part of a larger body of work that I call Claiming Space. And it's a set of large glossy full color poster prints that are folded and then pinned to the gallery wall. And there's a lot of conceptual reasons for that, but I think they do start as digital photos, but for me, that physical manifestation of the print is really significant to me. And then the photo, all of my work relates to ideas of identity, beauty, desire, representation, and the poster is to really reference how those ideals are disseminated into contemporary culture through the images and the media that we see. And it also is sort of to remove it from being a really precious art print and be something that's accessible and universal.
So I want to talk more about how did the ice cream taste? It was the first ice cream of the season, right?
Yes. The ice cream was excellent. That was one of the images that I didn't necessarily set out to take. I went to the beach that day with a friend knowing I was going to take pictures, and the ice cream was open. One of my favorite places locally. Enjoyed having the ice cream, but I also felt like it was really significant. It was an impulsive picture to take, but it was really significant to the project because women are really made to feel like they shouldn't enjoy eating anything, but especially for a plus size woman to openly enjoy eating ice cream seems very taboo in our culture that glorifies thin, beautiful women in a way that we can't even fit into. So showing that true enjoyment of how good that ice cream tasted.
I could feel it. In terms of the other work, so Artificial Dreams, the titles are what are making me think more about the work and not just think about the work as a poster or a digital print. So I think I would commend you on the titles, and they kind of grab me into the work and make me think more about, oh, just the first ice cream. Oh, I've never thought of it. And then Artificial Dreams. So please share more about how you get on with those titles.
A lot of it, some of my work doesn't have a title because the impact of the work feels like it's bigger than any title that I would give to it. But the titles are drawn from what I'm thinking about when I take the picture, when I look at it and create the poster. So the Dreams one was really thinking about how in America we have this sustained idea that the American dream is to have a family to have kids, to own a home, the white picket fence. And so really using some of those references visually in the image to get us to really think about how are we redefining that dream, and who has access to it in America, and like how are we redefining it, and who are we including in the way we redefine that, and is it the same as it was when the white picket fence became the ideal?
That's wonderful. I do see a comment in the chat saying how the folded photos, the folded effect kind of made it feel more intimate. And I felt it too. That's why that there was something in that attracts. So is it an actual fold or is it a digital created fold?
No, I wasn't gonna do this, but I do have. So they're actually posters that I order, and I have printed through just a third-party printer, and then I fold it up. And I think the intimacy and the feeling of the intimacy from it comes from all of us have owned a poster and put a poster on our wall. And it's something that we view in a personal and private space rather than out in public or in the art gallery necessarily.
And I'm checking in for any more here. I do see Ellen's comments saying that I'm grateful to see everyone's work. They are creative and powerful. So kudos to you all. Any other questions from this group for Gwen? And thank you for showing the sneak peek of the actual print and opening it up for us. So thank you, Gwen.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I am now gonna share my screen and we'll talk about Carina's work. Okay, I'm gonna stop my screen, come back to us.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome, awesome. I was having trouble.
We were up for it, so please take your time.
Okay. Oh gosh, yeah, I'm having to use my phone because it's not working through my computer. Oh gosh, and so I'm having to, my phone keeps falling down. Okay.
That was some great work there. I loved the colors in them, and I did see there's an influence of physics and bio in your background, and the colors are highly saturated. I'm personally inspired by colors, so if any one of you is thinking, why does she always keep talking about color? Because I love colors, so that's about it. And the composition of the artwork, it seemed to be symmetric, but it's not, and there's so much more in there. Please, Carina, take the platform and share more about your work.
Yeah, so I definitely have a background in physics and biology. If I wasn't an artist, I would be in one of those fields. But because I'm an artist, my work tends to be a lot about those aspects of reality. I didn't know you would be showing them on the screen, so I did put the work behind me. But I guess the thing that I'm most passionate about is life and life flourishing. So you're going to see that theme in almost all of my work, unless it's about death, because I am interested in what's after life as well. So, but here in this time, I feel like one of the most important things for us to be focusing on is respecting life and thinking about what the future means for life. And to me, I think that I guess what I'm doing with my work is I'm illustrating my own grand story of the universe. And to me, life is the central role in the evolution of the universe. So if you look back at the beginning of the universe and the Big Bang, I see, just from what I've studied with physics, it's almost like everything was set up to lead to this. And we're hurting life right now in a big way. And that makes me cry all the time. And what I see is this epic future for life. And to the point where entire solar systems and entire galaxies are alive. And the two works that you've chosen, which are two of my favorites, so I'm really glad you chose those. I guess the bone tree is, to me, showing, it's kind of representative to me more than any of my other work, what's happening right now. In so many ways, I see the earth dying in front of us, and it's almost like people can't even see it, but to me it's just plain as day. And I don't accept that reality. But I think what's underlying all of life is consciousness. And so if you look at the bone tree, it's underneath it is a lot of living consciousness going on. And then you have this tree made of bone, which is representing the death that's occurring in the world right now. But you have the birds that are being captured by the bone tree. And that's symbolic of how, like, we can't escape what we're doing here. And nature is aware of everything, because through life comes awareness. And so to me, consciousness is an essential role of everything. And then my other piece, orgasm. Orgasms and sexuality is also an essential key and role in life, and almost all life. So, and it's something that in almost all cultures, or most cultures in the world, there's a level of oppression involved with sexuality and culture. And so that piece to me is representing, like, the beauty and interdimensional aspects of the orgasm, and how important it is for life, and how it's involved in so many different, I mean, not just sexuality, but the orgasm itself it's something that occurs everywhere. And kids, I mean, even if you think about like a sneeze, I'm sure everyone's thought about that, you know, or scratching a mosquito bite or something. Like, there are little orgasms everywhere, and it's just a part of life and being alive. But in that piece in particular, one of my other obsessions is multiple dimensional reality. And so that's one of my, what I call a portal piece. So it's like multiple layers of doorways into a whole other reality, if you can get to that point. And there's, I mean, a lot of, I mean, at least with tantric sex, I think that the concept behind that is to transcend this consciousness that we have. So so that's what that piece is representing to me.
Your explanation about the work Bone Tree was so timely in terms of how, in your whole practice, as you said, how nature has its own course. And right now with COVID, everyone has been forced by nature to come into these situations, and there's an interplay between science and nature that's happening. We're using the platforms that are available, yes, but trying to be connected and as humanly possible, but we are forced by nature to take its course. So I could really connect that to this current situation.
I've noticed that as well. Thank you for noticing that.
I'm going to wait for any more questions that come up for you, Carina. I do have in the comments stating of Faith says that, thank you, Gwen, for showing plus size women so beautifully. And a word beautiful for all of the artwork that has been shown in this session. So till right now, we're not there at the end, but I'm loving the diversity that is happening in terms of the concepts, the representation. So thank you everyone for joining us in this talk. I'm gonna now move on to AJ. So bear with me as I share my screen here, showing her work right here. Okay, so hello AJ, thank you for joining us. Hear me?
Oh, you were saying?
Can you hear me good?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Can you hear me? My internet's not that good.
Yes, I can. I'm going to read a little snippet from your bio too. So you have done your BFA in photography, and your work is based around what one does to provide self-comfort, whether it is through identity or through the space surrounding them, and how to feel peace at it, as well as an ongoing discussion around mental health. So please share more about your work, and if you want to add more to the pieces that we showed here.
Yeah, so when it comes to the piece that I'm showing for this, the idea sparked around kind of how social media influencers are encouraging everyone to embrace their flaws and individuality. Specifically in the queer community, it's always kind of been embrace your flaws, your individuality, your queerness. However, to be more specific, in the non-binary trans community, that's really difficult. It's much easier said than done. A lot of us feel insecure, and a big part of that is we have physical bodies associated with a different gender than what we identify. For my case, it being that I'm physically female, and I do not identify as female. I identify as non-binary, they, them pronouns. But the worst part for me is that, like, I'm a little too insecure to often correct people who do misgender me based off my physical body. And when I'm put into these situations, I uncomfortably laugh through it, which is how I came up with the title, Uncomfortable Laughter. These photos are showing me hiding in my room where I can hide from the world, but not from my thoughts. So it's kind of showing what's going on inside my head throughout the day, in a sense. For these photos, I only show my face as a quick reference to who I am, but throughout the other photos, I purposely make sure I don't have my face in it, just because I want the viewers to kind of be able to focus on the subject matter and the text, and not so much who I am. But I'm hoping with the piece that it allows people who are in the non-binary and trans community to feel a sort of sense of community and understanding that their feelings are valid. I also want to show that, I want this piece to show that words can really affect someone else. I wrote down this example that I came up with really late last night, which is sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. So that's a saying I've heard all my life. Everyone has kind of heard it all their lives. But the thing is, with that saying, we're only talking about our physical bodies. We're not really talking about our mental health. We're not talking about our mentalities. And so for people who are in my situation, sticks and stones, yeah, they're gonna break my bones, but your words, yeah, they still hurt me. But I also, with this piece, is kind of like all my work has kind of been like an artistic diary for me. I I just kind of make it, it's kind of my therapy. So it all comes from my heart. And so I'm kind of just giving everyone my diary to sort of read, to show it. But what I want as a response is not so much you telling me, oh, I read your diary, I'm so sorry about all these things. It's no, think about what I said, think about what you read, and kind of go use that in your day-to-day. Kind of think about that moving forward so you can make sure other people don't feel the way that I have. So yeah.
That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. I did notice that you had a little written text on the photos too. Is that an emotion that comes to you in that moment, or is it the emotion that drives you to create that form or the picture?
It's a little bit of both. So I know in one of them is the photo of me scratching. If I have my little fidget cube with me, so I'm not scratching at myself, but usually in situations, it's gotten to the point where I would have my arm is just straight up, just bright red because of how uncomfortable I am. For when my hair was significantly shorter, like it was in the first photo, I was scratching myself so bad that I'm like right back here. It looked like I had a burn. It got really bad. So these are a mix of like initial reactions and me kind of thinking about things that have happened already, and that when I get home, I'm still thinking about these things that have happened. So yeah.
It's wonderful that we're all talking about breaking some kind of stereotype. And I personally feel that too a lot of times in terms of the identity. And I'm going to say the short hair look was really cool. I loved it.
Thank you.
So I'm sure a lot of people who are watching us would say that too. In terms of questions or comments for you, if anyone from our group wants to share something with AJ, please go ahead. There's a comment that in the Facebook chat, absolutely love the work for you, AJ.
Thank you.
And we also have Mike joining us here as well. So now I'm gonna hop on to Mike, and thank you, AJ. I'll let you know if you have any more comments or questions coming up. Oh, there's one. Loved the vulnerability in AJ's work. So there you go. And I'm gonna try and share my screen here, so bear with me. I know I've said that so many times now, but you never know where technology can go wrong. So, okay, let's go to, oops. Mike's work right here. Okay, coming back to us. I'm so sorry, Mike, you had some trouble getting on. I'm sure you were tensed that you would miss this, but you made it, and thank you.
I did. I was getting nervous that I wasn't going to be able to get in, so I'm glad I made it at the last second. And I still was able to hear everybody's presentations, which was great. Yeah, I'm very happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me in.
Great. I'm gonna share with everyone a little about Mike too. Mike hopes to bring attention to the importance of mental health and to use his platform to send a positive message. I loved the depiction and the medium that you used, ink, something that can really spread and blotch, or it can be so precise and beautiful. I could connect it that way. So please take the platform, Mike, and share more about your work.
Okay, sure. So This is actually my first time doing like an artist talk like this, so this is pretty exciting. I'm also a little nervous, but really happy to get to do it. So I am currently finishing my last year in my grad program, which is in art therapy. So then I hope to be working with the mentally ill population to use art as a medium to kind of convey their experiences and bring help them to reauthor their narratives. So in the work that I did, like you were saying, using the ink, I used acetate, which I've never used before, but I've had it in my studio for a long time. But I really liked that you were able to put multiple layers on top of each other, which I think I was trying to illustrate how mental illness can look different for everybody and that there are multiple layers to what's going on in somebody's head. Some things are visible and some things are less visible. Some things are completely subconscious and not even we know what's really going on inside of ourselves. So I enjoyed kind of experimenting with that new medium. The pieces are a lot smaller than I like to work, so I had to kind of adjust my process as I'm living in a new, much smaller space. So trying to figure out how to still be creative in that has been a challenge too. But yeah, and then with the piece I wanted to show kind of going off of like MRIs, CAT scans, like a play on like what you would see if you were looking at somebody's brain, if they had, say, depression or if they had anxiety, and how you can see from like a scientific point that there is a difference in that person's brain, but yet we still have a lot of stigma in society. A lot of people don't believe in mental illness, or they don't think of it as a certain kind of condition, or it's a flaw of your morals rather than, you know, an illness, the way that, say, like a medical condition would be. So I wanted to kind of bring light to those experiences.
In terms of the colors that you use, you are trying to analyze them over the scans, and then are the scans also colorful that you see, or are they in grayscale and then you interpret them?
I looked at, there's lots of different scan images that you can find. So I was looking at different types of scans, and most of them do show different, use different colors kind of to depict how the neurotransmitters are affected by mental illness. So I looked at different scans. Sometimes, say like for depression, one might be like black and white in a grayscale and one was in color. So I would kind of put my own twist on that in terms of the colors I was using.
Sorry, I think my internet got low, but thank you for sharing that. In terms of the titles, so they are representative of what kind of sign, what kind of scan you're seeing, and then you use the blues and the greens on those notes. I love the brightness of the colors there.
Thank you.
And the saturation, yeah.
Yes, there's actually 8 of these pieces I did. So like depicting different mental illnesses. So I kind of looked at what seems to be more common in terms of what you're able to see, like with medical imagery. So that way I felt like I could better depict that. So I was looking at that.
Okay. And the scale is small. They're not as huge as some of the other works that we've seen.
Yes,
so
they're fairly small. They're only 6 by 9 inches.
So you enjoy your own little space while creating them, and they're not like big gestures. Like in session 1, we saw Luke had those big scale works. So yours were really small to me in terms of when I was laying out all of the details of sketches here.
Yes, I usually do prefer to work larger than that, but this was really nice because I was able to kind of lay them all out on one table and be able to see how they work as a collective, and see like how I could, if I were to arrange them as a series, like how they interplay with each other, look at how I can rearrange the colors, because they are so small, they're so portable. So that was one of the really good benefits, whereas if they were huge, that would be way harder for me to be able to do.
I did enjoy the interplay, as you were saying, between those two. So having multiple of them would really bring the audience in to just see the shape of a brain and start to feel the work. So I could feel that. And I do have a comment here saying, great job, Mike. So if we have more, I'll share it with you. and you were able to get on the call. This was your first talk,
Yes,
and we're
that was
really
good.
excited you chose Ikouii to do that. So many
Yes,
more to
thank
come.
you.
And I'm gonna hop on to our next artist now and get back to you if we have any questions on Facebook coming up. And I'm gonna go ahead and share Loraine's work here right now. And I'm gonna show the video that I accidentally showed earlier in the session. So I apologize for that, Loraine. And I'm gonna share the video again here. Repeating it. And coming back to us. Hello, Loraine, welcome. Oh, you are muted. Sorry. Okay.
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. Thank God. All right. Good evening. Good afternoon, everybody. I was so worried I wasn't able to make it. I wasn't really working, but
you made it.
Everything will work out. So I'm here. Yes.
Please share more about your work and your inspiration. I do see a hint of calligraphy that is in your work. So,
yeah.
And then you are using different mediums as well. I love the video timing too, just a short 5-second video, but there was so much going on in it. So if you want to share more about that too.
Yeah, sure. What is very typical about my work is that I like to combine the disciplines because I'm a multidisciplinary artist, a poet as well, do spoken word. And I write my pieces often in calligraphy, and combining that with art or with different kind of mediums. I just love to create entire art pieces out of it. And just depending on what I really have at heart, because my goal is really to inspire people and touch people in their heart, really heart to heart, soul to soul. And yeah, just letting, being guided is for me very important as well. Don't believe in any coincidences or so at all. The video that you saw is actually from a protest recently happening in Rotterdam because of the Black Lives Matter, and it's just, again, no coincidence because we were preparing our pieces, right, weeks or months before, and I had the crutch. I had it prepared with few words that are actually labels and written in calligraphy attached to it. And around this week or so, about 2 weeks, I was noticing those words, credos, all around me in the world. And I just had to bring my art piece to the protest and raise it, lift it in the air as a statement of freedom. I mean, in the exhibition, we see the pictures actually taken by a great photographer in Rotterdam, Stakel Photography. He had the perfect moment to make a picture of that installation, raising the crutch in the air with a bird flying at that specific moment. And for me, it's double. It's not only about, let my people go, or Moses doing the impossible, splitting the ocean. It's also freedom in the sense that what we are going through right now with this pandemic or this challenge virus that's going on, that people are just, you had to stay at home and so on and so on. I was like, let my people go, let we be, let we live, you know? And I just had to put those tags on the crutch. I actually also, while making it, I tried to incorporate voices of other people as well. And that's why I wanted to call it first the collective voice, to make a collective impact. So I asked people, what would they say and what do they believe? How can we actually, you know, provoke change with collectively and have a collective impact? So maybe what is going on right now in the world, maybe, who knows? Maybe this is actually, you know, something that will bring change. And it was interesting that when I discussed it for people to, you know, bring their input so I could write it in calligraphy on the crutch, there wasn't really a lot of response to that, to be honest. But there was one specific response by Winslow Jordan, also known as Ruby Tech. He's also an artist based in Barbados. And his input is so divine. I just want to read the words out loud because it's difficult for us now to zoom in, right, in the art piece.
Yeah.
So this was his input. A collective voice stimulates change by being unified in cause, understanding, and mindset. Unbalanced energy cannot move insurmountable odds, but rather an atmosphere of cohesiveness and unified purpose acts as the tip of the spear and sharp edge of the sword to penetrate dying, archaic, or like outdated designs. And I found that so fascinating. This is why you can see why I use the crutch, because you need that something to balance, but it's only one crutch. So for the balance needs to be restored in our lives, in nature, in the world, so many things. And if things are like unequal also regarding racism and so on, it's not working, and we do need change. And this is like in broad saying what inspired me to create it. And then of course you also have the labels that I put. Those are just keywords, which are like what I was saying, certain words I just hear nowadays around me. I don't know if anybody can relate to that, if you can see that. And also very curious to hear from other people what would you hang in this tree to raise the bar, to
That's
raise
wonderful.
standards, you know,
And
for change.
I do believe that you just summed up the whole exhibit too in talking about the collective impact and talking about how each one of us here, each one of our fellow artists here in this session too and in the exhibit are bringing one part of the society that needs to have a focus and that needs to be addressed. And each one of us is making such a huge impact in this collective group here. So
Yes.
I could really feel that you just summed up everyone's work here, and
Awesome. Yeah.
amazingly about how our work as individual artists is honored, yes, but as a collective we can be such a big force, and
Yes.
each one of our bravery can come together and make a bigger impact.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. That's why I really wanted to like put the labels in there as well. And one of the labels, you actually had a picture as well, right? Next to the,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if everybody could read the labels. Maybe I could just run through them quick.
Sure.
Let me see. I had Let Go Ego. So yeah, because otherwise you cannot go towards change. Stand together, unite, love, faith to action, align, divine, no limits, question status quo, unstoppable, share benefits, I'm possible, freedom, give space, support, speak up, speak truth, connect, reflect, believe, anchor your spirit, multiply. So what would you hang?
Yep, I'm open it up to all of us here to say one word, and that would be an amazing end to this conversation. So thank you, Loraine. That was wonderful. I'm gonna just call each one of us, and yeah.
That's one thing I have to say about the text before I forget. They're not written on normal paper. They are written on sprout paper, actually. So you can put it in the soil, and a poppy will grow out of it. So it's recycled special paper, small tags, and yeah, just let me know if you're interested or what. That's apart from the installation, of course.
That's wonderful. Okay, I'm gonna start with one word.
Putting me on the spot here. Unity.
Yes, I did.
Sorry, your voice cracked for me. Would you mind repeating it?
Yeah, unity.
Unity, okay. AJ?
Acceptance.
Acceptance. Alyssa?
Equality.
Sorry, I think it cracked again for everyone.
Oh, equality.
Equality, okay. Gwen?
Show up.
Show up.
Show up.
True. Mike?
Yeah.
Resilience.
Resilience.
Carina?
Resilience.
I'm gonna, yep.
Action.
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 Okay. The word for me is gonna be empathy. I'm gonna bring in our interpreters to say their word too. They have done an amazing job in this. One word from you, Joy Marie.
Sorry?
Do you have one word for us, Joy Marie?
Said fairness.
Okay, and what's Katrina?
Work.
Work. And last but not the least, Alita, summon it up. What's one word for you?
Collective.
Collective. Great. So thank you all for joining us. Again, I appreciate all of your time. Both of our interpreters, thank you so much. I'm sure this must have been tiring. We got over our time, but we really, really appreciate all your effort. Joy Marie, thank you again for hopping in last moment and helping us out with this. All the artists, keep doing the great work. We were such a diverse group in this call, and I'm amazed to see all of your work and inspired at the same time. So thank you. Alita, thank you for this platform for everyone to come up and show their work. And for everyone who's watching, the run for voting is still going on. So if you have a favorite artist, go and vote on the poll on Facebook. This call would be recorded and posted on YouTube. The artist for sale So remember that, come back to our website and buy it. We are open for donations. Thank you to all our volunteer staff and artists joining us on this call. And I'm going to stop speaking now.
All right then.
Thank you, everyone. Have a
All
good
right.
evening. Good night.
Yes,
Thank
you're
you.
Good
welcome. You
afternoon.
too.
Good morning. Take care.
Good night. Good morning.
Bye-bye.
Bye.